Alright guys, I've got a problem with my fuel gauge. It is reading incorrectly. Stranded me yesterday, showing that I still had a quarter tank and ran out of gas. Put some gas in it, fired right up, so it is definitely the fuel sending units in the car. So I'm going to try to clean them out and see which ones are the problems. So I've already removed my back seat, and then this is where we're at. So there's tons of videos on how to do this, but I'll kind of sort of cover this briefly. So what you do is there's these tabs you have to remove from this. I'm going to work on the driver's side first, and then I'll move over to the passenger side. I believe it's the passenger side. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get into the fuel sending unit and I'm going to clean it, show you guys how to do that. First, we'll start off by removing these tabs. So these tabs, it has a Phillips in there, but it's easier if you just use pliers because it's easier to manipulate these little tabs. All you do is just turn them. Turn them till they line up. Okay, once they're turned, all you're going to do is just remove it, and there's a clip underneath here. All you do is push down and then back it out. Okay, clip is out. Now you have a whole bunch of these. They're Phillips also. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're Phillips, but you can actually use an 8mm to loosen them off. So I'm going to loosen them off, and I'll be back in just a second. And all the screws have been removed. Now there's an outer plate, a black outer trim plate. Just going to lift it up. When you're lifting this up, the plate will come out. So just going to set the plate aside, and I'm going to remove this float. I'll put a little towel here just to make sure none of the fuel drips anywhere around here. So it comes out just that simple. Just pick it up, make sure no fuel sloshes around here, and then the sensor's located behind this little panel here, and I'll set this down and we'll remove the panel. Alright guys, I've got the cover off. This is it. It's these 4 tabs that go on here. You just press the tabs down. Press the tabs down on each one of these 4 holes, and it'll just start coming out. Just be real gentle with it. Come right off. Set it aside. Here's the sensor. Here's the sending unit anyway. And these little grooves up in here are the ones that we're going to be worrying about. So these little bad boys right there. See, a little bit dirty, not too bad. Again, I don't think this is a sensor that's bad, but since I'm doing this, I'm going to clean them all off, and this one's super easy to take off. So I'm going to clean it. I'm basically going to use Q-tips and some alcohol, dipped in alcohol, and I'm going to clean this up as best I can and see if it'll work. Alright guys, I'll show you the end product. Alright, everything seems to be nice and clean. So that's been taken care of. All the contacts are good. This is the Q-tip I use, so you can see a little bit of the dirt around the tip. So I'm going to go back and reinstall this. And I checked the play in here, and everything seems to be nice and smooth. So absolutely no problems. Float's still intact. So I'm going to go reinstall this, and I'm going to start on the other side. Okay, now I'm on the passenger side. It's a little bit harder. This is where the fuel pump is, under here. So there's a couple of extra connections here, which is this connection you're going to remove. So I remove this top part just like you remove the other side out there. So still have the same bolts you have to remove, but you have to disconnect this, and then you'll have to disconnect this fuel line. You got to be careful because when you disconnect it, fuel may come out. So make sure you have a towel ready to catch the fuel. I'm going to put it in here in just a moment. But basically, you squeeze these two in, and then you just pull this back out. So, and then once you're reassembling everything, you put everything back, you'll hear these two little clips snap. Now these two clips stay on this part here. These two clips do not come out. This just comes out by itself without them. So I'll remove them. I'll remove them, and then I'll come back in just a sec. All right, so I've taken out all the screws. There's the ring plate. Taking the screws. I removed this by simply taking it out. I removed the harness connector from here. Now, the rest of the part gets a little tricky here, only because I'm trying not to spill any fuel in here because I got to keep my kids and my family and everybody in here, so I don't want to smell like gas too much, so I'm being extremely careful. So, this little thing is a pain in the butt. It's hard to tuck it underneath anything, so it's kind of sort of going to be in the way a little bit. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start by removing the bowl. Now, as we're removing the bowl, there's a little black wire. Just a little bit there. This little black loom wire kind of sort of gets in the way because as you're taking it out, it wants to get stuck on the metal rim up in there. So I'm going to loosen it and take it out, and I'm going to lay it on a towel, and then we'll continue from there. Okay, I've removed the fuel pump from the car. Taken off the cover like the other one. So here it is, and this is the sensor right here. So this sensor looks a little bit dirtier. So what I'm going to do is just go through the same steps. I'm going to use alcohol and a wipe. And I'm just going to clean the contacts. Now make sure you do up and down and do not go side to side. It's got to be up and down, otherwise you'll damage the small little sensors that are in there. So clean Q-tip. Alright, so it looks like all the sensors look like they're all cleaned out. Now, I'm just going to install everything in reverse order. Put the cover back on and reinstall it. And button everything back up and see if the fuel gauge, which is currently at about a little over half a tank, but there's almost no fuel. There's only 2 gallons of fuel in the tank from the gas I got from AAA yesterday. So we'll see if the gas gauge goes back to its correct level. All right, everyone, I've got everything buttoned up. Put the fuel sending unit all back together again. Everything's been connected. Just reverse what I removed. And now we'll see if it worked. So earlier my gas gauge was reading at full. Now it seems to have jumped down. If I can get it. It's now at about a quarter of a tank, which is about right.